Celebration Church. Good morning, Celebration. Hey, some of us is still asleep apparently. Well, we are so happy to have each and every one of you here. We're so thankful that y'all came out in this cold morning. This weather just don't know what it wants to do, does it? If you're watching online, we're also happy and excited that you have joined us. We just want to welcome you guys. Just a couple announcements this morning. First is of our connection card. If you're here in person, there's a little blue card in the back of every seat. If you don't mind, just fill that out with just some general information about you and your family. Also, if you have made any kind of decisions today, like have you accepted Christ, or if you rededicated your life to Christ, or if there's any prayer requests, our teams will be more than happy to join with you in prayer and just let you know that we are there for you. We won't harass you. Pastor Matt may want to, but we will hold him off. You may just get a text or email from our team just let you know that we have received your request and we are there for you. If you're here in person, you can drop them in the black boxes on your way out. If you're online, there's a link in the description box below. Just fill that out and it will also be received. Our next is about Texan Church. This is a service that you can sign up for if you would celebrate to 662-297-7435. This would get you connected to all the things that's going on here at Celebration, whether it's with our women's group, our youth group, any kind of ministries. It just keep you up to date and let you know what's happening, when, and where. Our next announcement is about Winter Jam. Yay, we're all excited that it is back. It is going to be February the 20th. I believe that's next Sunday. So our plan is to take a group, the youth especially, but anyone is more than welcome, whether you have little children or no children. You're still welcome to go with us. It's going to be a time of fellowship and fun. Our plan is just to stay after church. We're going to order some pizza, and then we will go together if you want to. The youth, we can go with us if they want to. We're just going to go and just have a great time that night. It will be a little bit late night, but as I was told, there is no school on Monday, so that would be good for our children. So we would like for all of you guys to join us in that. Our last announcement is about our eat and greet. That would be February the 27th. It's at the end of the month. And even though today is the Super Bowl, we are still going to do tailgate style. So just bring your favorite tailgate foods, whether it's chips and dip or wings or sliders or whatever else you want. We would love for you to just join us in fellowship with one another. The church will bring some wings, but we encourage you to bring some as well. There would be a sign-up sheet in the foyer for that. So let us pray, and I would like for you guys to stand and get ready for worship. Father, we just thank you for this awesome day that you've provided us with. Father, we pray that you be with everyone that's out, whether it's for personal reasons or sickness or family sickness. We pray that you just put a healing hand upon them. Father, we pray that you be with the worship team and Pastor BJ today as they bring your messages to us. We pray that you open our hearts and minds to what you have for us. And we pray that you just continue to guide us and be with us. In the name we pray. Amen.
Good morning. We invite you to stand and sing with us this morning.
Over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. As the Spirit was moving over the water, Spirit, come move over us. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. And come down. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. Come down, Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you fill the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. Wind comprehend. All I know is I need you. Now run to the Father. I'm falling again. I'm done with the hiding. No reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon. My soul needs a pen. So I run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, again and again. In your know me for my first breath, running into your arms is running to life from there. I feel this rush deep in my chest. Mercy is calling out. Just as I am, you pull me in, and I know I need you now. Father, I'm falling to grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon. To the Father again and again and again. Father, I'm falling to grace. I'm done with the hiding,
Come on, church. We're going to go back. And I want us to do that bridge one more time. Because here's the wonderful thing about running the Father. Pastor Matt talked about it last week. The Father was setting, watching, and waiting for the Son to return. His eyes were on his Son's heart. And he came running right after him. So sometimes we have to run to the Father, but guess what? The Father runs to us in those moments we can't come to him. So let's do that again. We're going, my heart has been in your sights. Come on, man. Come on, worship. Let's do that.
Long before my first breath, running into your arms is running to life from there. I feel this rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out.
let's just stay in that space for just a moment. We just keep playing. Look, before Pastor BJ comes up, I just want to pray for us this morning. And listen, I just believe that God is doing something in this moment. He's calling out to someone here, maybe many people here, to run to me, because the Father's always pursuing us. Amen. And it's when we make that decision, when He gives us the faith sometimes that we need to make that decision, and the grace that we need to actually run to Him, that's when everything begins to change. Not only in the spiritual, but in the natural. So it's our enemy, our rebel nature, to try to run from the Father when we mess up, when we realize that we're not perfect, that we're imperfect people, we're imperfect Christians. And the Father is saying, no, I have my eyes on you. I've been watching you this whole time. I've been running towards you. If you'll just turn and run to me. Amen. So let's pray. Father, we just thank you for your great mercy. God, I thank you for your grace that we so desperately need every morning. And Father, I just pray for Pastor BJ this morning that you would give him the words that you would have us to hear. And Father, I pray for hearts and minds to be open to the gospel this morning. I pray for your saving grace to come and rest on us this morning. God, give us the faith that we need to come out of hiding, to run to you, Father, because we so desperately need a heart surgeon, Lord. We need a renewal of our minds. We need a renewal of our heart. We need our hearts to be regenerated by you, Holy Spirit. So would you use your gospel as only you can do to plant seeds this morning? And I pray, Holy Spirit, that you would water it, and that it would grow into salvation, that it would grow into sanctification, that you would pull us in close, that you would continue to draw us in, even when we try to run away, Father, that you would never leave us, that you would never forsake us, that it gives you joy to leave the 99, to go after the one. So, Father, I just thank you that we have a good, good Father in you, that you never leave us or forsake us, no matter how messy it gets, no matter how many times we run, no matter how many times we mess up, God, you're always drawing us back. You're always calling us in. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen.
Is this thing on? Yes? Good. I can't tell half the time because as we're finding out in my house, I am apparently hard of hearing. Sarah does not. I am apparently. She one of the things that does, she just gets on, well, I don't say she gets on me, but it kind of drives her nuts is when she has to repeat herself. Because if I ever say, huh, woo, she don't like that. And she may be watching right now, I don't know, but yes. So anyways, I'm done with that. Hey, guys, y'all doing good? Y'all looking good? Everybody looking good? Somebody said thanks, yeah. So for those of you I have not had a chance to meet yet, my name is Pastor BJ. I honestly can't remember the last time I was up here to speak because we've had a baby. Woo! Yeah, he will be 5 weeks old on Tuesday, my birthday. So I'll celebrate my birthday and we'll celebrate Judah's 5 weeks. So when I say I really have no idea what day of the week it is, those of you who have kids and can remember them being newborns, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this morning, Sarah and I are trying to work on a schedule of how we can take turns helping feeding him so she can get rest and we both can get rest. And I'll be honest, she's been doing a whole lot. And so sometimes she's like, you can sleep, but she still has to get up every 3 hours. So we kind of worked it out where it's like, you know what? You take the first 2 times, I'll get up on this one, help you out, and then you can sleep late. So this morning, Judah decided he didn't want to wait till the full 3 hours. He woke up 30 minutes early. And he was fussy because babies get fussy. I don't even think he had a poopy diaper. He's just like, I want to be held, and I want you to feed me, Daddy. Feed me. So I fed him, and he's still like, we ain't done. I still want something. Look, it's hard to help a baby out when you don't know what the baby wants. Anyways, that's a little extra. We're going to be in the book of 2 Corinthians. So if you can guys go ahead and make your way that way. It's in the New Testament. And as you're doing that, kids, we do have Kids Celebrate. Say yes. All right, maybe like 3 people. Let's try again. We got Kids Celebrate up and say yes. So kids, if you want to, you can go with Miss Michelle right back here. Just follow her out to my left, your right. She will take you back to Kids Celebrate. Parents, they're going to learn a little bit more about Jesus on their level. And I'm going to tell you what, it's a clean, safe environment. We have worked on getting it safe. Because and that's a whole other story. We'll leave that one alone. We finally got rid of all the mold. We got some things replaced. So we're going to let you go that way. If you came in and you did not get any sermon notes, these are these nice little things that we fill out. We kill some trees. We recycle some stuff so you guys can use it. This is good for you to follow along with. We have notes, so if you need it, I think we have Dream Teamer back here. Josh has got some, so you can kind of raise your hand. He'll come up and give you the notes. We want you guys to follow along and just make notes. There are some things we have here, but you may hear something else that I say that you might want to write down and quote and tweet it later. Please do so, because I'll be honest, sometimes I say things and I have no idea what I say. And people say, you said this. Did I really? Show it to me. Anyways, like I said, we are going to be looking at 2 Corinthians chapter 7. We are in the second week of our 4-week series entitled Messy Spirituality. In this series, what we're doing is we're explaining how knowing the loving and gracious God of Scripture, how knowing Him can help us overcome our constant feelings of guilt and imperfection. How many of you in here, or how many of us in here, if we're honest, we're like, you know what? I have guilt that I deal with, and I deal with not measuring up. I'll be the first one to tell you that. I deal with not measuring up. We'll talk more about that later. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the realities of the human life and our human weaknesses and look at the grace of God that makes it possible. He meets us in the middle of these struggles that we have, and He empowers us to change. Who in here likes change? Really? Okay. Most people don't. Like, I've always heard, like, the only people who like change are wet and dirty babies, and even they fight against it. And again, as a new dad, I tell you, he does. He's like, buddy, I'm trying to change your diaper. Trying to change it so you can be comfortable. Anyways. Last week, Matt kicked off the series looking at the story of the prodigal son. If you did not get to hear that message, go back, check it out on our Facebook page. You can also check our website. It should also be on our YouTube channel. Check it out. It was a good message. You want to go check, just listen to it. Today, we're going to be looking at a passage that deals with the messiness of life, especially, or including life in the church. How many people know that sometimes things can get messy in life? If you've been involved in a church for any amount of time, even things in the church can get messy. And hopefully by now you have found 2 Corinthians in the New Testament, the book number 8. And in fact, we say a book, but really it's a letter. It's a letter called an epistle. And it was written by the Apostle Paul. He wrote to this church in Corinth, and now Corinth is not Corinth, Mississippi. It's Corinth that exists over in Greece, okay? And what happened is that during this time, the city of Corinth was one of the largest cities in Greece. In fact, it was the capital of one of the Roman provinces there in Greece. And Paul writes to them because in his first letter, in Corinthians 1, 1 Corinthians, he is dealing with some issues that have arisen. The church, look, if you go look at Corinth and read about it, Corinth was a crazy place, okay? There was a lot of immorality going on. Let's see if I got kids. There was a lot of promiscuity. And in fact, one of the things that Paul, basically it leaked into the church and it became the church gone wild. Okay? You get my drift? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Ooh. So much so that one of the issues that Paul addressed was an inappropriate relationship of a man with in translations say, his father's wife, which is probably his stepmama. Paul was addressing some really heavy stuff. And he even sent that first letter with Timothy to go fix it, set it up. And it didn't work. And Paul had to go show up himself, and he had to lay the smack down on somebody. Okay? He had to be tough with them. And he writes this letter, and in this part here, he's actually talking about his letter he wrote and becoming too hard on them and really dealing with this idea of messiness. And so we're going to read this because what we're going to see today is that when we're faced with the messiness of life, especially within the church, but just life in general, we can either allow that messiness to drive us away from God or drive us towards God. That's the main idea of today's message. We can allow messiness of life to drive us away from God or drive us to God. So let's look at this. We're going to be in verse 4 through 13, and let's read this together. This translation, I think, is the New American Standard. If you don't have a Bible, by the way, there are some in the seats in front of you and around you. Take that, and if you don't have one at home, that's our gift to you. Happy Valentine's Day. Also, if you want to, you can use your Bible app on your phone. Just make sure you don't check Facebook or Instagram in the middle of the amazing preaching that's going to happen. Okay, just follow along with us. So here we go. It says in verse 4, "Great is my confidence in you. Great is my boasting on your behalf. I am filled with comfort. I am overflowing with joy in all our affliction." That's kind of a weird thing to say. There's joy in the middle of affliction? We'll talk about that later. "For even when we came to Macedonia, our flesh had no rest, but we were afflicted on every side, conflicts without, fears within. But God, who comforts the depressed, comforted us by the coming of Titus, and not only by his coming, but also by the comfort with which he was comforted in you, as he reported to us your longing, your mourning, your zeal for me. So that," I lost my place. There it is. "So that I rejoice even more." I'm glad we have this up and it's working today. "For though I caused you sorrow by my letter, I do not regret it. Though I did regret it, for I see that the letter caused you sorrow, though only for a while. I now rejoice, not that you were made sorrowful, but that you were made sorrowful to the point of repentance." I would go ahead and underline that. Sorrowful to the point of repentance. Underline it. Circle it. If you got a highlighter, highlight it. If you want to make it even more, you can bite your finger, put some blood on it. Actually, please do not do that. That's we don't want to clean that up. "You were made sorrowful according to the will of God." That was a really bad joke, and Betsy, you didn't laugh. It was really bad. So that you might not suffer in anything through us. "For the sorrow that is according to the will of God," verse 10, "produces a repentance without regret, leading to salvation. But the sorrow of the world produces" what? "Death. For the sorrow," here we go, 11. For behold, what earnestness this very thing, this godly sorrow, has produced in you, what vindication of yourselves, what indignation, what fear, what longing, what zeal, what avenging of wrong. In everything you demonstrated yourselves to be innocent in the matter." Verse 12. "So although I wrote to you, it was not for the sake of the offender, nor for the sake of the one offended, but that your earnestness on our behalf might be made known to you in the sight of God. For this reason we have been comforted, and besides our comfort, we rejoiced even much more for the joy of Titus, because his spirit has been refreshed by you all." Let's pray. God, I thank you for your word. I thank you that you speak. And Holy Spirit, we're asking that you would speak today. Move BJ out of the way, and you just say what you want said today, God. And may the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight. O Lord, my rock, my redeemer. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I got a question I want to ask everybody. Who in here, by show of hands, has ever baked a cake? Made some cookies? Made some brownies? How about this one? Ever tried to make your own bread? All right. What we just found out, by the way, is the next time we do an eat and greet and we need desserts, we have lots of people that can cover that. I'm just saying. No. Several years ago, I was participating during the season. I was observing the season of Lent. And if you don't know what Lent is, it's a time on the church calendar leading up to, starting actually on Ash Wednesday, which is right after Mardi Gras, and it goes all the way up until Easter Sunday. During this time, it's a season where people, Christians, either give up something or they add a discipline with the intent of focusing on and remembering the sacrifice that Jesus paid on the cross. During this time of the year, when I participated, I basically became a vegan for like 47 days. Okay, I did a thing called the Daniel fast, which basically I gave up sweets, meats, dairies, breads. Basically, I could only eat vegetables and fruits and very few whole grain stuff. So I had to learn real quick how to make my own bread. And what happened is I learned how to make whole wheat tortillas. I found whole wheat flour. And if you've ever done anything with flour, whether it's cookies, it's like cookies from scratch. Let me say that. Cookies from scratch, cake, whatever, making your own bread. We all know that flour is what? Messy. Flour is messy. It's kind of like playing around with confetti. It gets, or glitter. It gets everywhere. Like you could just sit there and move a little bit, and also next thing you know, it's on your shirt, and you didn't even come anywhere close to your shirt. Well, in this passage today, we're looking at an example of a messy situation that Paul is dealing with. And we're actually presented with 3 different truths and a word of encouragement. So let's start looking at it. Let's look at point number 1 here. We're going to jump right in. I had to get all that background information to you. Our first point is much like dealing with flour, life is messy. Life is messy. In fact, it's a part of what it means to be alive. If everything was perfect all the time, that means a robot's probably doing it. Life is messy. Your relationships get messy. And what we see here is Paul is dealing with a messy situation. Let's look at 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 4 and 5. And here's what he says. He says, I have spoken to you with great frankness. This is in the NIV. I take great pride in you. I am greatly encouraged. Then he says, in all our troubles, my joy knows no bounds. For when we came into Macedonia, we had no rest, but we were harassed at every turn, conflicts on the outside, fears within. In these 2 verses, Paul expresses 2 sets of feelings which appear to be complete opposites of each other. Do you see that? We have joy, but we also have troubles. We have, hey, we're rejoicing, but we can't find rest. I take great pride in you, but I'm encouraged, but then all of a sudden, we got fear, we got conflicts, which can lead to what? Being discouraged. Paul talks about the fact that life is messy. Like, I'm reading that, and that's what's speaking to me there. That life is full of what? Ups and downs and everything in between, right? Paul is dealing with this messy situation in that when he approached the church, when he came there and tried to correct the issues that were going on that were dealt with in 1 Corinthians, the first letter to the Corinthians that we have, there were a lot of people who turned against him. There were some that sided with him, some that turned against him. And in fact, some people came in being quote-unquote super apostles, and they were like, who is this man? Show me why he should be an apostle. And they were turning people against him left and right. I mean, people were abusing spiritual gifts. There was all kind of miscommunication going on. Relationships get messy. Why? Because people are messy. Relationships are messy because you have 2 messy, imperfect people trying to do something together. You ever heard that saying, I'm just going to do it myself? Well, guess what? In the Bible and in the church, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to do it together. And when you bring people together, it gets more complicated. I've told Betsy and some of the other in the worship team this, especially as they're preparing. By the way, they did a great job. Let's give them a round of applause this morning for Betsy and Alicia. One of the things I've talked with them about, especially with Betsy and Alicia as they're planning, is the more pieces you add to something, the more complicated it gets. In a relationship, when you add people to whatever's going on, it gets messy. Of course, you can't have a relationship without somebody else there. We see that Paul talks about being faced with difficulties. In fact, Paul is probably, arguably, one of the godliest men in the New Testament. And he faced troubles and difficulties. What does that say for us? That says, it should remind us that we too are going to face troubles and difficulties in life. How do we know that? Because Jesus promised that. Did you know that? Jesus promised that we were going to have trouble. Look at John 16:33. Jesus says this. He says, in this world, what? You will have what? I thought it said you will have gumdrops and rainbows. I thought you were going to have sprinkles on everything. It's going to be great. I thought you were going to live long and prosper. Spock. No, he says you will have trouble. Paul faced trouble in the Corinthian church. And if you go read the book of Acts, you're going to see that he went from place to place and people were getting everybody up in a riot, uproar, and chasing them out. And all he's doing is like, I'm just trying to tell people about Jesus. He admits when he gets to Macedonia, he and his companions, that they are facing conflicts along with fear within. So what kind of we already hinted a little on conflicts, but what about this fear within? Is he talking about, hey, there are people in his group or that are supporting him on the inside like that are causing fear, or is it fear inside of himself of what he's going to face? I mean, Paul eventually writes in verse 6 that it says, but God who comforts the depressed. Why would Paul write about God comforting the depressed? Why would he write about depressed? Were they depressed? Maybe. And that brings us to a question to think about. Is it possible to be a born-again, Spirit-filled follower of Jesus Christ and still experience depression? Is it possible? If Paul and his companions experienced it, then it means that it's quite possible that the answer to that question is what? Yes. You can be a Christian and still face moments of depression. In fact, the Bible has several examples of people who battled depression but were still considered mighty men and women of God. I think about David, who writes throughout the Psalms. David's got a lot of Psalms. He has one where he talks about, I'm drenching my bed with tears. That sounds like a moment of depression. Another one, if you go check out 1 Kings chapter 8 and 19, you're going to see the prophet Elijah. And the prophet Elijah was probably, right after Moses, one of the greatest prophets, considered one of the greatest prophets in the Old Testament. He stood up against 850 people who were following the Baal, the false god Baal and Asherah. And you know what he did? He whipped them all. One man against 850. Now, of course, it kind of helps that the 850 prophets, they cut themselves and bled themselves dry trying to get a false god to answer, but God answers with a response to a simple prayer. Elijah prays, God says, whoosh, sends the fire, and then what happens after that? Has an amazing encounter, but then he gets one bad Facebook comment, one bad Instagram comment. Somebody gives him the thumbs down or the anger emoji. Actually, that's what happens. Jezebel gives him the anger emoji thing and says, I'm going to kill you. And what's he do? He runs off and he wishes he was dead. He wishes he could just die. Depression. Facing and experiencing depression, this is my point on this, because life is messy. If you face and experience depression, I want you to know that it does not make you any less spiritual. Just because you have those moments and you wrestle with it does not make you any less spiritual. Life on this earth is messy, even for Christians. Maybe especially for Christians. We already saw that Jesus said, in this world you will have trouble. He's talking to his disciples there. He's talking to the people who follow him. He also says elsewhere, in John 10:10, he says, I have come that you may have life and have it abundantly. I heard a Christian comedian one time say this: life is full of trouble. Jesus promises life abundant and overflowing. Basically, Jesus is promising you're going to have a life full of trouble. That's not very encouraging, is it? It's like, BJ, I thought you were going to encourage me today. I'm trying to lay down the truth that life is messy. I think back to this this is one of my favorite movies. It's called The Princess Bride. And I think back to this moment in the movie where the man in black has kidnapped the Princess Buttercup, and yes, that is her real name. And she is basically talking to him and said, look, I know exactly who you are. You're the Dread Pirate Roberts. You're the one who killed the love of my life. We all know that the Dread Pirate Roberts does not take prisoners. He's like, well, I can't afford to. Word gets out that you're getting soft and nobody takes you seriously. And at one point, he's kind of mocking her a little bit, and she goes, you mock my pain. And he says this line. He says, life is pain, Highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something. I love the fact that the Bible never shies away from this fact that life is messy and filled with pain. In fact, we have example after example of hardships in life, that life is messy. It's filled with pain. Jesus went to the cross, which is the ultimate symbol of pain and suffering. The cross is messy. Why is the cross messy? Because life and sin is messy. And it's through the messiness of the cross that Jesus offers hope. He offers a promise. What was that promise we saw at the end of John 16:33? He said, you will have trouble, but he says, but take heart. I have overcome the world. If you look at verse 6 in 2 Corinthians 7, it starts off with these two words, but God. Let me say that again. But God. Those are some of the two most inspiring words you can find in the Bible. Life is tough, it's messy, and it's dark, but God. All hope may seem lost, but God. You see, God is light. He is the source of all hope. He brings comfort to the depressed. He brings peace of mind to the most challenging and even the darkest of situations. The psalmist reminds us in Psalm 34:18. This is not on the scriptures up here, but write it down. It says that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and He saves those who are crushed in spirit. That's Psalm 34:18. If you ever have a day where you feel crushed, go to Psalm 34:18. If you ever feel like you're going through a valley of deep darkness and depression, the Bible may call it the valley of the shadow of death, go to Psalm 23, verse 4. Why? Because he says, his rod and his staff will comfort me, because he's with me. This is the promise of hope. Hope and comfort. This is a promise that Paul saw, and he knew it was represented by the arrival of Titus. This was a promise of presence. In the midst of your deepest, darkest moment, you could go from the high of the mountain to the low of the valley. He's there. He's with you. And this promise of presence leads us to our second promise, our second truth in this. Number 2, we do not have to face the messiness of life alone. We do not have to face the messiness of life alone. With the arrival of Titus, here in verses 6 through 7, Paul and his companions were encouraged. Titus brought them good news. The Corinthians had listened to Paul. They acted on the letter. They responded. The action led them to offer support to Paul, and Paul no longer had to feel isolated nor abandoned. Paul saw in the arrival of Titus a representation of the promise that Jesus Christ had made. What was that? We go check out, if you go check out Matthew 1:23, it says that Jesus is known as Emmanuel, which means what? Do we know that? Everybody remember that? Emmanuel means what? God with us. He saw in Titus coming a representation with the good news, the gospel coming, that God is with us. I want you to know that God is with you even when you don't feel Him and even when you don't see Him. He is still there with you. How do we know this? Because Jesus made a promise. The book of Hebrews, the writer of Hebrews says this. He says that God reminds us, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. That's a comforting promise. If you feel alone and you feel abandoned in the middle of the messiness of life, you can take hope and comfort that He has never left you. Jesus promises to send help. He promises to provide comfort. But here's the thing. Sometimes, a lot of times, it comes in ways that we don't expect. In ways that we least expect. Can I get an amen? Think about it. Well, let me just say, think about it. Have you ever had a need in your life, as a dire need, and you are asking God, I need a breakthrough. I need you to send something. I need a word. I need some encouragement. And then out of the blue, somebody comes up and offers you something that seems to have absolutely nothing to do with what you were praying about, but then down the road, it is exactly what you needed. It reminds me of a story of a man. There was a flood that was coming, it had been raining, and the river had started overflowing its banks, and the water just started filling the streets, and this man was praying for God to save him, and he was at his home, and all of a sudden he hears a horn. Of course, if he's in the South, it probably played Dixie. Okay? Probably some redneck in a big giant pickup truck, because it was a pickup truck. Probably got them huge tires. And he's like, hey, man, come on. Let's go. We're going to get out of here. And the man says, no. God's going to save me. So the redneck guy just drives off. Okay, whatever, dude. The water gets up to about his neck. He's having to kind of floating around. All of a sudden, here comes a boat putting along. And this other guy said, hey, man, jump in the boat. I'm going to get you to safety. And the guy's like treading water. He's like, no, God's going to save me. God's going to save me. So the boat just putters on off. All of a sudden, the water's so high that the guy has to get on his roof. And all of a sudden, a helicopter comes by. And he's like, hey, we're going to throw down a ladder. We're going to save you. Come on. And God's like, no, God's going to save me. I know He is. And the helicopter's like, I got other people who are less crazy, who are going to take it. Well, what happens eventually is the man drowns. And he's standing before God. He's like, God, I thought you were going to save me. Where were you? And here's what God says. He goes, I tried to. I tried 3 different times. I sent you a truck. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. What else you want from me? Now, he didn't say that part. That's a little extra BJ. But he's like, I sent you something. I sent you. Here's the thing. God sends help. God sends comfort. And it may not be in ways that we expect it. Maybe you're going through a messy situation and you just need some words of encouragement. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, somebody sends you a text message. It's like, hey, I'm thinking about you, praying about you. I feel encouraged, especially when people don't know what I'm going through. Maybe you're suffering from a loss, and all you want to do is withdraw from everybody and everything. Again, that sounds a little bit like depression. If you're not careful, the grief can lead to that. Maybe you want to suffer in silence at home, away from the church family, your faith family. You don't want anybody to know about the pain you're feeling, what you're going through, but I want to let you know, and I want to ask you this. What if you withdrawing and keeping away is actually hindering God from bringing the answer to your life in the prayer that you've asked? God can, and He does usually move in mighty ways, but more often than not, God moves in smaller, hidden ways. Think about it. Think about the small instances that you said a prayer and then there was something small that happened and you're like, you know what, I know God just heard me. Remember, Jesus, when He came down the earth the first time, He came as a baby. not a grand being covered in light to chase away darkness. He came as a baby, small, seemingly insignificant. God has answers for your prayers. He's provided for them. It just may look different than what you and I were expecting. You see, Paul's joy and comfort for his depression, came through Titus and the news that Titus brought. In a similar fashion, the comfort and joy that we need and we're looking for can come through the news and the message that someone else may bring us. That's why it's important to be an active member of a faith family. That's why it's important to be not only active in the part of the big body church, but also your local church. Because we're stronger together. Ecclesiastes 4:12 says this. It says, a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. If you go check out 1 Corinthians 12, Paul's first letter we have, he talks about the body being one. We are one body. And he says basically that if one of us hurt, guess what? We all hurt. You ever stubbed your toe? Is it just your toe the only thing that hurts? No! For some reason, you stub your toe and your eye starts twitching. I don't understand how that works. Go talk to Pastor Matt. He can tell you, he can probably tell you all about it because he's a doctor, he's a chiropractor. He can tell you why one part of your body hurts and goes completely opposite direction. But that's the point, is one of us hurts, we all hurt. When one of us rejoices, we should all rejoice. So we see that life is not only messy, and we see that we not only do we do not have to face the messiness alone, but here's the third one, and this one may be a little stretch for you. Number 3, not all negative feelings are bad. Not all negative feelings are bad. BJ, what do you mean negative feelings? Well, think about it. There are some feelings in our life, or some things in our life that we associate and assume are bad, negative feelings. Remorse, regret, grief. We live in a society that we always want to be happy, right? We want to smile, and anything that takes away from our smile, or what was this on? It was on a cartoon or a movie. It's like, you're messing with my cool. You're messing with my cool. I'm all cool, man. Don't get me angry. Don't break my cool. If something changes the status quo, apparently it's bad, it's negative, and we think those are bad things, but that's not what happened. Look at what Paul tells the Corinthians in his letter in verses 8 and 9. He says, even if I caused you sorrow by my letter, I do not regret it. All right, first and foremost, Paul ain't apologizing. For some of us, we're like, you hurt my feelings. Why are you not apologizing to me? Well, Paul's like, he gives his reason. He's like, but I don't regret that you were sorrowful. He said, I did regret it because I saw that my letter hurt you, but only for a little while. He said, now I'm happy. Now you're happy that you hurt me? He said, and it's not because you were made sorry. He said, but it's because your sorrow led to what? Your repentance. For you became sorrowful as God intended, and so were not harmed in any way. Paul's just saying, my previous letter hurt you. I was a little bothered by it. I've had people that I've cared about, that I've talked to, that sometimes I've had to give like stern advice to, and be like, look, man, this is what I really think. This is what you need to do. And then later on, I'm like, man, was I wrong? But then I see when they follow the advice and it works out, I'm like, okay, that's what they needed to hear. See, it can cause what we seem to be negative feelings. Paul's manner of addressing the issue caused sorrow. But here's the thing. Correction and confrontation can do that because we don't like it. We feel uncomfortable. So we equate anything that makes us feel uncomfortable with negativity. See, it caused not only sorrow and regret for the Corinthians, but Paul also admits that he had momentary feelings of regret. Why? Because it hurt him. But it led to action. And what was the action? They repented. They turned from it. See, confrontation and correction, like I said, can rarely feel good. It can feel very uncomfortable, but sometimes we need that uncomfortableness to move us to where we need to be. It is uncomfortable to confront sin and offer correction in love. Scripture tells us in Hebrews 12:6 that the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as a son. Parents and kids, parents, have you used this? Kids, have you ever heard this when you get in trouble? This is going to hurt me a lot more than what? It hurts you. It's going to hurt me a lot more than it hurts you. So you beating my butt and causing physical pain to me is going to hurt you more than me? Well, if I need the punishment, let me beat you. Let me whip you, Daddy. That ain't going to work. Look. Judah hates getting his nose suctioned. You know, babies, like you have to suction out and then they can't breathe. Man, his cry changes. He goes from, it's like, buddy, I'm just trying to get the snot out of your nose so you can breathe. It's uncomfortable, but I got to correct this so you can breathe correctly. And you know what? When I hear him do this, I'm like, buddy, I know it's hurting you, and I don't want to hurt you. I hate that you're crying. But this is for your good. Correction is for our good. See, what happened is when Paul brought this confrontation, this correction, he basically presented and said, here's a mirror. Let me show you what's wrong. Confrontation and correction present us with a mirror that reveals to us our flaws. And most of us don't like that. Why? Because we don't want to think we got flaws. We want to think that we got everything right, that we do it right. And I'm going to be honest with you. I wrestle with messing things up. Some people are like, BJ, no, you don't. You look like you got everything going right. Look, in my mind, I'm like freaking out. Hey, am I doing this right? Like sometimes I'll ask Sarah the same question 5 times. Like, hey, how do you want this done? And she's like, just do it. You know, I don't want to mess it up. Maybe it's because I'm the firstborn. I'm the oldest. So I got to be the guinea pig for mom and dad getting raised. So if I mess up a little thing, it's like, pow! And I'm like, I don't want to get out of line. I got any firstborns in here? Like, you feel that way? It's like you mess up, you're like, but then you have a brother, like a middle child, like right below you. They mess everything up. Of course, they get beaten. They're like, I don't care. And then you get the baby of the family. And the baby gets away with everything. Josh, you know that Leah got away with everything, don't you? Hey, you're going to plead the fifth on that. Okay, that's my brother. He's like, I'm going to plead the fifth. Look, my sister right below me, Mandy, we always tell Josh and Leah, like, look, y'all did not get it like we got. We got beat. Y'all got out easy. Josh is like, I'm pretty sure I got beat. Leah's like, yeah. But that's the point, is that coming back around, is that confrontation and correction can be uncomfortable. If you are trying to go to Florida and you're driving to Maine, you need to check your GPS. You ain't going the right way. And it's not loving for me to let you keep going in the wrong direction. The most loving thing I can do for you if you're going the wrong direction is saying, hey, I think we're supposed to go the opposite direction. If somebody that you know is living a life, or if you're living a life that could potentially send you to hell, the most loving thing you could do is not to let somebody continue that, is to point them to Jesus and say, look, you don't have to go. The most loving thing you can do is offer correction. Not all negative feelings are bad. Their sorrow led them to repentance. Their sorrow led them to action in the direction of God. So life is messy. We don't have to face this messiness alone, and not all negative feelings are bad. And this brings us to kind of our word of encouragement, number 4. We should not let our messy condition keep us from pursuing God. It's an exhortation. It's kind of a command. It's an encouraging command. It's basically saying, hey, don't let the messiness of your life can keep you from being and pursuing who God has called you to be. Instead of allowing sorrow and the messiness of life or the situation to kill them off spiritually, what the Corinthians did, and you can check this out in the passage there. What they did is they allowed this to drive them towards a deeper pursuit of God. Their zeal or their desire for holiness increased. I'm going to go ahead and invite the worship team to come back up here. they responded to this correction by taking the sin that was happening with the improper and inappropriate relationship between that man and his stepmom. They took it seriously. They dealt with it. Mark Dever, pastor and author of the book 9 Marks of a Healthy Church, writes this. He says, "We all have a real past to deal with, real sins that we have committed, real guilt that we have incurred." See, guilt and shame from our past sins and even maybe our present mistakes and present failings, what that does is they long to keep us from coming to Jesus. It's like we're afraid that the Father will see all the ugly warts and scars that we have and want absolutely nothing to do with us. But here's the truth of the matter. God's already seen it. God already knows it. And guess what? He's not put off by it. God knew before you were even born the days that you would say no to Him. But guess what? He still pursues you. Why? Because He loves us. He loves us, and He still calls out to us despite our messy condition. God is not scared of messy. Why? Because the cross was messy. God is not scared of messy because the cross was messy. See, there's nothing that you or I can do to save ourselves. There's nothing we can do to cleanse ourselves. That's why we need God to do it. I think of Judah. I think of the times that he has a dirty diaper. Or maybe he spit up on himself. Guess he can't clean himself. He can't change it. He can't fix it. What does he need? He needs a bath. He needs to be changed. Can he do it himself? No, because he's flopping his head around because he can't hold his head up. So what does he need? He needs his mom and his father to make him clean. The same thing is true for all of us. We can't cleanse ourselves. We cannot save ourselves. We need someone who can do that. We need the Father. We need to look to God because He is where our help and our hope comes from. Don't let your messy condition keep you from coming to Him. See, Jesus understands messy. He understands what it was like to be abandoned. He also understands what it's like to be beat. He understands what it's like to suffer and be humiliated because the cross was messy. He took our messiness to the cross because it took the messiness of the cross to cover the messiness of sin. Let me say that one more time. It took the messiness of the cross to deal with the messiness of sin. So as they lead us in response, I was going to invite you to stand. And just take a moment to kind of just examine yourself and see what messiness there may be in your life that you need to lay down at the foot of the cross. See, none of you are here, none of you are watching online by accident. God ordained you to be here. God ordained you to watch. If you're here or you're watching and you don't know Jesus, you don't know that He led you here so He can meet with you, I want you to know He did that. He wants to exchange your messiness for His holiness. He wants you to take your guilt and your shame and give you peace of mind. He already took your place on the cross. He's just waiting for you to respond to what He's done. If you're here and you've already surrendered to God and He is your Lord of your life, but maybe you still have some guilt and some shame and messiness that you need to lay down. What does that Run to the Father song say? It's like, I was carrying a burden I'm not meant to carry. He's inviting you to come and exchange that for peace of heart and peace of mind. Don't let the messiness of your past, of your mistakes, keep you from coming to God. Let's pray. And then we're just going to take some time to respond before Pastor Matt comes up and dismisses us. Let's pray. God, I know there's so much more that I have written, but my prayer is that the things that I've shared were from you. And God, I was just kind of sharing, and I saw that somebody on Facebook said that's exactly what they needed to hear. And God, I'm praying that you will remind us of who we are and who you've called us to be, that the messiness does not scare you. And I pray, God, that we would turn our eyes on you. And once again, God, I'm going to leave this place open. If somebody needs prayer, if you're here today and you need prayer, come on up. If you want to lay down some messiness to God, He will take it. He will wipe you clean. And He'll walk with you when the other messiness of life happens. Thank you, God, for hearing, and I pray that somebody responds to the pulling that you're doing, the drawing that you're doing here. We just love you, God, and we praise you as the worship team leads us.
I look to you, I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you, where my help comes from. Give me wisdom, you know just what to do, and I will love you, Lord, my strength. And I will love you, Lord, my shield. And I will love you, Lord, my rock. Forever all my days I will love you, God. God, I look to you, I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you, you're where my help comes from. Give me wisdom, you know just what to do, and I will love you, Lord, my strength. And I will love you, Lord, my shield. And I will love you, Lord, my rock. Forever all my days I will love you, God. And hallelujah, our God reigns. And hallelujah, our God reigns. Hallelujah, our God reigns. Forever all my days. Hallelujah. And hallelujah, our God reigns. And hallelujah, our God reigns. And hallelujah, our God reigns. Forever all my days. Hallelujah. And I will love you, Lord, my strength. And I will love you, Lord, my shield. And I will love you, Lord, my rock. Forever all my days I will love you, God.
Listen, we're going to pray for the offering here in just a minute, but I have a few quick announcements before we do that. First, thank you, BJ, for bringing the word this morning. You did a great job, and I did evaluate you in the back, by the way. That is a joke, but it's actually true because I have to evaluate him for his school ministry degree. So that technically it's true, but also I'm making a joke out of it too. Don't worry, I give you all zeros out of 5. So just kidding. Couple quick things. Next Sunday, like we said at the beginning, in case you weren't here, several of our youth, or a lot of our youth, all of our youth are going to Winter Jam, and some of the adults are also going. And after church next Sunday, we're going to have some pizza here for those that are going. Because if you've ever been to Winter Jam, basically the line starts at like 12 and just keeps on going around the building. And so we're going to eat here, and then there'll be several of us going over there. The tickets are $10 if you want to go. All kinds of different bands performing, Christian bands, and they also bring a message. Probably over around 11 p.m., but I don't really know. I think it starts at 6 or 6:30. So if you want to go to that, just after church here, just get with us. There'll be a group out there, and you can go with us on that. Also, I wanted to mention on February the 26th, so next, well, not next Saturday, but the last Saturday of the month, I think in February, at 6 p.m., we're going to have a worship time here, and we're also going to have some pastoral friends of ours from a church in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and basically Pastor Kimball and his wife, Miss Betty, are going to be here to minister to our faith family. And if you've never experienced their ministry, I would highly encourage you to come check that out. They're very gifted in what's called the gift of prophecy or prophetic prayer. And if you don't know what that is, basically it's prophecy in the Bible, in which Paul talks a lot in 1st and 2nd Corinthians, it is to build us up, to edify us. That's what the gift of prophecy is all about. And so if you have any more questions about that, or if you'd like to talk to me about that, I'd be glad to talk to you about that after service or anytime. You can reach out this week. But it's going to be a great time of worship and just in the Lord. And so I'd encourage you to come to that on the 26th at 6 p.m. And then lastly, let's pray for our offering today, and we'll dismiss. So, Father, I just thank you for your word this morning. God, I thank you that despite our messiness, despite the fact that we are imperfect sons and daughters, God, that when we mess up, God, we can come to you. We can run to you. That you're calling us to come to you instead of hiding. And so, Father, I pray for whatever messiness that people are going through at this time in our faith family and those watching online, God, I pray that you would just comfort them, that you would remind them that your eye is on them and that you want them to come to you. And so, Father, I pray that you would just give us wisdom, that you would just continue to pour out your mercy and grace to bring us to the cross, to bring us to the foot of the cross, to bring us to Jesus instead of running from you when things are messy, when we mess up, instead of hiding and running in shame. So, Father, I also want to pray for our offering this morning. God, you know that for almost 7 years now, we don't have any full-time pastors, Lord, any full-time staff. And so, Lord, I pray that those watching, I pray that those that come that are members of this faith family, God, that they would see it in their heart to give towards having some full-time staff so we can reach this city more effectively. Father, I thank you for all that you've done in us and through us, and I pray that you would just take these offerings, God. I pray that you would multiply them and you would do it in such a way that you get all the credit and all the glory. In Jesus' name that we pray, amen. Have a great week. We'll see you back next week at 10:30 as we continue this series